Scratch the vinyl.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the newest hit show you're ever going to hear. It's Scratch the Vinyl, a music show, about music and life. And I've got two of the best co-hosts around. I've got Mr. Chill himself, the entertain machine, the party monster. And then I've got DJ BJ, aka Big Red, up in here. And and we're getting this thing going strong today. How you guys doing?
Doing great. How you doing, Randy?
Well, I've just survived a long trip out to Vegas and back, but I'm doing good.
What the heck were you doing out there, Randy? Why don't you tell everybody of the man of many talents what the heck you were doing out there?
Well, believe it or not, after 37 straight years, I have been participating in the National Bowling Tournament.
Man.
And we were fortunate enough to bowl opening squad of the tournament this year. And it's kind of a big deal, a little prestigious ceremony to kick things off. But before anybody asks, my participation was all that was required. My performance was not very stellar.
Well, you also picked up aside from 7-10 split here and there, you also picked up a nasty sickness, didn't you, while you were there?
Oh man, I tell you what, flying with other people from around the world, I think just attracts anything and everything. I really spent most of my time in the hotel room, other than my time out at South Point in Las Vegas, not feeling very well.
Did you catch any music shows while you're out there? Did you see anybody while you were there, or local talent or anything cool?
I wanted to, had an opportunity to see Christina Aguilera. And I got to tell you, the ticket prices, even for the kind of crappy seats, were $1,400. Residency for former stars and legends of the industry are doing very well in Vegas right now.
Man, I would see Adele in a heartbeat, man. I mean, not only does she look fantastic these days, she lost a boatload of weight. Not that mattered to me. I thought she was a beautiful lady when she was bigger, to be honest with you. But man, she's got one of the best voices in the business, doesn't she? I mean, she's got that Whitney Houston-esque voice.
Well, I also had an opportunity maybe to see Donny Osmond, who's been out there performing for many, many years, residency at the Flamingo. But my time allotment didn't allow me to have as much time to maybe see extra shows that I wanted. But I will say this, they have built the new Old Red, Blake Shelton's bar, basically putting Nashville right on the Las Vegas Strip. And let me tell you what, that place is immaculate.
I imagine it is, man. I mean, Cowboys want to party in Vegas too, right? So, people who like country, I mean, I can't believe it's taken them this long to do something like that, to be honest with you.
Well, that stage, every day I was over there was performances going on, three levels. It's definitely a winner on the Strip.
Well, did you do anything crazy, Brooke? I mean, did you do anything wild or something that you want to share with the audience here?
It's pretty boring. Work was pretty busy, didn't do a whole lot. So yeah, I'm getting ready for St. Patty's Day, really. So, and Randy, you're going to do karaoke on St. Patty's Day at Kelly's.
I am. We're going to be having a big showdown at Kelly's Pub here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Every year, this is like, I think my 9th year down there, celebrating St. Patrick's. We get out the green beer and the Irish singing songs, and everybody has a good time.
Yeah, the regulars have to listen to the Irish music and smell the barbecue and cabbage.
I saw that Flogging Molly was coming to town right around then, which if you haven't seen Flogging Molly or even know who they are, they're an excellent, Irish rock band. They're always going to bring the house down. They're at the Bourbon, I believe.
Yep, I have an opportunity to go to them, and I might if I'm in town.
Absolutely. And then whenever the Killigans are around, the Killigans,
yes.
So excellent, man. Unbelievable band. But, I'm anything in particular. I'm going to watch the Leprechaun movies, particularly Leprechaun in the Hood. And that's what I do, Patty.
Those movies, those scary movies used to freak me out, the little leprechaun ones. And it's like, I don't think I really want to go find the gold.
It's kind of like Chucky. Really, all you should have to do is just pick him up and throw him down. But he's kind of like a squirmy little weasel. He's got tricks up his sleeve.
I never understood that. He's a little short dude. Like, come on, whatever. Put him in the mosh pit. You'll be fine.
I'm not so sure I couldn't use a shot of Jameson today to clear things up a little bit.
Come on in. I got it for you.
Isn't that the Irish's cure for everything? It's kind of like the Navy, telling you to pee on your feet or pee on whatever ailment you have. For the Irish, it's just drink some Jameson and you'll be good to go.
Well, you just start feeling good. That's the whole thing.
It's either brandy or Jameson, but I prefer Jameson.
Well, as I always like to say, some days I need the music, and some days I need the lyrics. And what I got is, Dave Grohl. I'm a big Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl kind of guy, and he said after kind of doing an interview on Nirvana, he said there was one song lyric that really gives him the chills from Kurt Cobain. And because Kurt lived by the motto of the music comes first and then add the lyrics. That's how he wrote songs. He always created the music and then kind of put the words to it, which created obviously some great anthem songs. And the lyric that gave Dave Grohl the chills was, "You can't fire me, I quit." And when you look in the perspective of how Kurt progressed and was kind of that antisocial, nonconformist, and then to have his music hit mainstream at such a high level, there's so much irony in the idea that he quit. Can't fire me, I quit. I really understand what Dave Grohl means when that gives him the chills.
When he was kind of the ultimate anti-hero. I mean, as a kid, me following Nirvana and just falling in love with the band, that was it for me. And it was kind of like the 90s way of life, wasn't it? Like what he's saying is so true. It's not necessarily the Johnny Paycheck, take this job and shove it mentality, but it does kind of have those tinges to it, but that's not really what he's saying, is it? It's saying so much more than that.
Exactly. I think a lot of it is you want to take control of your life and love what you do. And he says that all the time. Like, I think there was a quote. It says, "I don't believe in guilty pleasures. If you effing like something, like it." And so I think it's just more or less living how you want to live, do what you want to do out of respect for others as well, though. Because right now, just the things that he does for people, and he loves children. He loves to see the new generation. And I think he's just saying, do what you love.
Well, that's definitely how I feel about music. And that's what I think we all take away from music is we can all find something we enjoy. I mean, whether you're a headbanger or, love songs, but we all find something that touches us through music.
Well, and how can you not? I mean, it's we could say it till we're blue in the face. I mean, we all love music in our own way. And I think music's what brings the world together. And it also tears us apart too, depending on what we're looking at. But the thing about it is it brings out so much emotion out of all of us. And that's why, the music never died. The day Kurt Cobain died, they'd say that, when Buddy Holly died, that was the day the music died. I think for me, the day the music died was when Kurt Cobain died, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think we all have, there's artists of generations that when they pass away or something tragic happens, we we feel a sense of real loss. I know I felt that way after John Lennon was shot.
Mine was Amy Winehouse. That was a thing for me because she had a lot of mental, just a lot of addictions and stuff that she was trying to get through. And reading about her and watching some documentaries and stuff, it really opens up. I mean, a lot of famous musicians, they all, they say they died at what, 27, or how, they were all the same age. They all had the same kind of like mentality and how they looked at life. And but yeah, Amy Winehouse was a big one for me.
Yeah, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, all those that kind of same time period of life.
I read the saddest thing in this kind of goes with what we're talking about. This was an artist's last word. So Syd Barrett, okay, if you don't know who Syd Barrett is, he was the one of the original founders and original singers of Pink Floyd. Well, he had a tragic story in rock, right? I mean, he had you talk about mental illness and all sorts of things. He had severe issues going on, and he ended up basically being, leaving the band or being kicked out, whatever. And then David Gilmour took over. But his last words I read this week was in 2006. Okay. And this is a man on his deathbed. He was asked by a reporter, he said, "Are you Syd Barrett?" And his reply was, it was a simple, "Leave me alone. I've got to get some coleslaw." And I thought that was the strangest last words, but kind of saddest last words of a great man. You know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine dying and that being the last thing I had to say. But really, I like coleslaw, so maybe I would say that. What do you think about that quote?
I don't know. I think maybe he was kind of saying like, stick it to the man kind of too. Like, don't just stop bugging me. I just want to go. And here you go. There's some words of wisdom that weren't really words of wisdom, but kind of in the in between lines they were, like, leave me alone. Let me eat my coleslaw.
It's kind of like saying F you without saying F you.
Yeah, totally.
Maybe it's more than it is sad. I kind of thought, I interpreted it as this guy's, had lost his mind, from, being mental illness, LSD, whatever. But these are his last words. But I think you guys kind of swayed me on this one. I think that this was Syd Barrett's final FU to everybody. Leave me the hell alone.
Yeah. I'd say something. I'd probably do that on my deathbed too. Be like, give me the chocolate cake and go get another thing of wine. We were talking about famous last words. I was talking about Bob Marley, and this just came up, which is weird. But one of his last words that he said to his children, because he had like 11 kids or something, and it was, "Money can't buy life." And he said that all the time. And I love that quote.
So true. So true.
I wouldn't know. Never seen the money, so I wouldn't know what I want to try it and see how happy I am.
Yeah, when people are like, "Money can't buy me love," I'm like, or love or happiness, or I'm like, I'll try it.
Well, it may not be able to buy you love, but I was out in Vegas for a week and you could sure rent some.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I don't know about love, but I really love food, and I love all kinds of stuff.
I will say I did have the opportunity to eat at another very, very fine steakhouse restaurant in Caesar's Palace this last weekend, and I had a very, very nice 28-day bone-in ribeye. And
I saw a picture of that ribeye, and my mouth, even now thinking about it, is watering, Randy.
Food could be my music to life.
We've had something big happen here for Nebraska. Once again, we've had another great musician get highlighted. We already know that we have the great talent here, but it's great to see it on TV. And there was a guy on The Voice, right? That made it to The Voice and really turned heads, quite literally, to have this guy on their team. And I mean, the guy was phenomenal. And this isn't the first time that we've had a Nebraska person on The Voice. But let's talk about that a little bit. Did you guys watch the episode? Did you at least see the performance?
Yeah, it was Brian Olson. He's just a little younger than me. I was surprised. Maybe I didn't know him that well, but he looked familiar, and it sounded really good.
He did look familiar to me too. Like I swear I've seen him somewhere or heard him sing. It looks like he's in some different he's in a couple of Christian bands or whatever, which is
Yeah, Christian rock band, I think.
uh, have you ever seen this guy? Did you watch any of that, Brooke?
I saw a video, I think one of you guys sent me. I watched that, and then I looked him up on Facebook, stalking him, and we have a whole bunch of uh, mutual friends, and I think I've met him a couple of times because one of my buddies is in a Christian rock band, and I believe it was through him.
He had his daughter with him, and she ended up singing on the show, and she sounded really good.
Well, let's think about the other, the other two that I can think of offhand was Hannah Houston, who finished third, right? She's from Grand Island. Oh, and then Lincoln's very own Josh Hoyer, who's a heck of a talent, from the Zoo Bar. I think he books there now. But
Yeah, well, he was a regular at the Zoo Bar.
yeah,
And we had both of them on KFRX. They both came on there and interviewed them. Really, really nice people.
I'm very familiar with Josh Hoyer. I've known a lot of people that knew Josh and you know, followed him in the local scene quite a bit. And what I heard was one of the things he said is that making it onto that show is so big when you get to perform on that stage with the Paul Merkovich band, how professional they are, and can just elevate your game, and you learn so much. And just the exposure was huge for his career here locally. He said he immediately was booked for like the next year after being on that show.
right. And he kind of tours all over now. So I mean, it had to have elevated him. I know that he is still associated with the Zoo Bar. I see that he books for them now, so he's always looking for different talent. And yeah. I mean, he's just a heck of a talent. I think his sister was in some cover bands too. I think her name's Natasha or something. I'm not sure on that, but I know that she was in. I think maybe the Bricks band and some other bands that were touring around and everything. And she was a real talent too. So they must be a pretty talented family.
I know her. Yep. Actually, she had owned a bar. Bailey's, is that? Yeah, I know her. She is a really good musician. She's a very beautiful person. I actually just saw her the other day. Yeah, great family. Very, 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 very talented.
Just shows that this is still a small world, and it's nice to see people recognized. You know, we feel like we're a big city, but in comparison to a lot of places, to have a couple very good local talented people make it onto The Voice is, I think, a pretty big deal.
Yes, and that's what people always say too. Like the voices really set the precedent for that type of thing. Like when you hear a really good singer at karaoke or you hear a good singer in the family, what's the first thing everyone always says? You should try out for The Voice, right? And
It was
You
America's
guys,
Got Talent, wasn't it, for a while?
was that for a while, yeah. But who wants to get roasted by, Simon?
Yeah, Simon.
I would have literally peed my pants the whole time.
well, I mean, look at Kelly Clarkson. Boy, if you look how she started, um, I mean, she is a powerhouse, just phenomenal. And she was, I think, one of the best coaches on The Voice. By the way, I know she has a lot of irons in the fire and is not a coach anymore right now. But let me tell you what, as a coach, as a person who's been through that type of competition, I think her advice was probably invaluable.
And well, now she's like an Oprah type, right? I mean, now she's doing.
Yeah, she has her own talk show. First up, she is probably one of the most still real people that have made it big in the business. Like she still is a fangirl to everybody and stays fairly humble. And I love that she ends all of her shows with like a karaoke cover and just, man, she kills it. She could do covers all day long in my book.
Well, I never even recognized her as like a person out, like someone who would become that personality. Well, like I knew she was great at music. I mean, that was apparent, but then she rifled into becoming this personality that people actually want to hear, and they want to hear what she has to say. And then she became a good interviewer. I mean, yeah, she's really transcended in that game.
Well, I think again, I think that comes from that so many times we watch these shows, we listen to stuff, and it's these professionals, and it's so bougie, uppity up. I think Kelly just keeps it real, and I think that translates to a lot of people that just they actually feel like they know her, and she can sit down and her show is like sitting on the couch with a bunch of friends, and I think it comes across really well.
Well, it must come off pretty good because the regulars at the bar dig it. Like I can't even sit at the bar watching.
Ellen and Kelly Clarkson and Wheel of Fortune. We got Jeopardy. We usually play music because we don't want to be wrong in our answers. So when the music's playing, we're always right.
And then I come in, and they go, "Oh, karaoke's gonna start. We're leaving."
It's so loud we can't hear anything. Okay, I'm making fun of him now. Cut that out. Just kidding.
Try being the band when you come into a different town. Like when we would roll into some small town, the locals are having a great time, and then the band starts rolling in all their gear, and they're like, "Oh no!" They're like, "You're not gonna play rap, are you?" And it's like, "Do we look like I have a guitar player that looks like a farmer? Like what do you?" What do you
When Cain rolls into town with the band, all of a sudden the local sheriff gets called to come rolling by and check things out.
What are you? Yeah. You get all the Scooby Doo people coming out. Who are these guys? Why are they coming into our bar? Yeah.
Well, you really have to win the locals over when you roll into those small towns. I did the small town circuit for years, and those are some of my favorite shows, but you really got to win them over. You got to know what they like. You definitely got to know how to play Sweet Home Alabama and stuff like right off the bat, and you better play it well. Don't miss a single lyric. The craziest thing that ever happened to me was in the middle of a song. I had this farmer guy walk up to me. I think it was at the Ding in Denton, and or no, not Denton. I'm sorry, in Raymond, excuse me. And this guy hands me a note while we're playing, and I'm like, "What am I supposed to do with it? I got a guitar in my hand. I'm playing it. I'm singing. Like, what more should I do? Like, should I stand on a ball and juggle too?" And I look at the note at the end. He says, "You're playing it too fast." And it's like, I just wanted to clear.
No, he didn't.
He did, man. I can still see the guy's face and his demeanor, and I'm reading it as how I thought his voice would be, but because I tried to talk to him a little bit, but I was probably a little inebriated at the time. But you're playing it too fast.
I'm playing it too fast. Can you redo that one, please?
Oh boy.
Cain, that's when you go, "Hey, we got a special guest coming on stage. Got to do this song," and you get paid, but you get to go sit at the bar and drink some gin and tonics.
Well, he's the guy on Blues Brothers. That ain't no Hank Williams song.
I think this is a new song for you. I think you could create a new song based on that story if you think about it.
Oh, there's definitely at least 5 songs.
I think the name of that song is going to be called "I Was Playing Too Fast."
I live my life, Randy. I live too fast.
You live for speed. All right. I like it.
Let's talk about some other Nebraska talent, that people probably don't know about here. Cause for another segment, there are some massive talents that have been through this state. Bright Eyes, obviously, a lot of people know Bright Eyes from Omaha. They really hit it big. They've been doing it since the 90s. But what a lot of people don't understand, I know Randy knows because he shares a name with him, but Randy Meisner from the Eagles was from Scotts Bluff, correct?
Yeah, Scotts Bluff. Yeah. Obviously, Randy Meisner, one of the more iconic voices on the Eagles for a period of time, was replaced by Timothy B. Schmidt. And I think we might have mentioned this in the past, but Randy Meisner started with a band called Poco, and when he went to the Eagles, Poco then brought in Timothy B. Schmidt. And then when Randy Meisner left the Eagles, they hired Timothy B. Schmidt, who's been with the Eagles ever since.
Did he hate that guy for all of that, or did they get along?
No, he got along. So basically, the big deal, the kind of the conflict between Randy Meisner and Glenn Frey was the the fans loved "Take It to the Limit," the song, and to do that song, that end of that song, Randy has to hit some really, really high notes. And to do that every night in a concert was wearing on him, and it was wearing on his voice. And but Glenn was like, "You got to sing that song. That's like it's our number one song. Like uh, the crowd, like they can't wait for you to do that part of the song." And basically, one of the last shows, uh, Randy Meisner says, "I'm not going to do it," and he's like, "You're going to do it." And they were going to go to blows, and it probably was going to go to blows, and at the end, then he walked off. So,
Well, that's the thing is, it's interesting where his journey was in music and kind of how it went, but it's crazy that he stood his ground like that, like, and it is hard. It's hard to people don't realize how hard it is unless you're a singer. It's hard to do it at that level in those size arenas, even with all of the everything going on, in-ear monitors and all that. It's hard to hit those high notes like that all the time. So,
I mean, I'll give you another great example is Steve Perry.
yeah,
I mean, probably one of the most iconic voices in music. And I mean, they've tested that guy, like his vocal, like is perfect. Like when they run it through all the tests and like he kills it, like it's pitch perfect. But can you imagine? And that was one of his things is he loved it. He loved all of what that success was, but doing those high songs day in and day out, tour after tour, he got burned out. And and I think the probably one of the best, follow-ups to that is when Journey then hired Arnel Pineda. It he starts out, on the tour and he's super hyped up to be part of this band and trying to be the new guy and seeing all these Steve Perry songs. Uh, it didn't take long for him to start to lose his voice on tour, and it just shows you that those guys, their voice is their instrument, and you have to take care of it. And if you don't, and so not only physically it's taxing, but mentally it becomes taxing when you start to strain it all the time.
Well, and as a person, I can't sing as high as I could years ago. I mean, honestly, I don't even try to hit the high notes anymore because it'll almost be like a puberty boy with my voice cracking. But I used to be able to hit them really well. But think about like metal vocalists, for example. I used to be in metal bands before that, and I probably blew up my voice years ago. And trying to do like a controlled scream is it's not for everybody, but for metalheads it's everything. It really takes something out of you. I can remember after shows having to talk in a whisper because my voice was so blown out, and I'm sure that completely annihilated my vocal cords. You're the girl in the group, Brooke. I mean, you guys have a different. Is it hard for girls to hit a lot of high notes?
It's hard for me to hit any notes, so yeah.
That makes sense.
Brooke has a low share type voice.
Yeah, if I could turn back time. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously it's a muscle. You have to train it. You have to work with it. I know a lot of the singers that, I mean, they have gobs of tea and honey. And I knew somebody that would take ginger syrup and drink it on stage and just to coat his throat, just all kinds of weird things that they would do. And he could get pretty high. But there's a few, people that would smoke, that quit smoking. And, it just depends on just taking care of your throat like anything else, or your, vocal cords. But yeah, it's women, I don't know. I know a lot of guys, I think they can go a little bit higher than some women. Like, I don't know.
You guys remember John that worked for me at all? I don't know if you ever remembered him at all, but this guy had and I know he does a lot of theater. His name's John Schnur, but
Yeah, I remember John. Yeah,
John John
he was one of the few guys that could do Freddie Mercury.
like and that's another thing. You're talking about Freddie Mercury. They've done scientific studies on his vocal range, haven't they? And they found that he had like some of the most ridiculous range of all time. Maybe even the most range of almost anyone who's ever been able to sing.
It's
One
like
of my
opera
favorites.
singers too. I don't know how opera singers do it. I mean, the even the not not just the range, but like being able to sing like two or three notes at a time. Like I've heard people be able to do that. Like it's
Yeah, it's
weird.
control that vibrato. Yeah, learning
Yeah,
how to
like,
control that vibrato. Yep.
yeah.
You know,
Freddie
one of my
Mercury's pretty cool.
one of my favorites on this subject is when I went and saw Van Halen on the reunion with David Lee Roth, and of course David couldn't hit any of those high notes anymore. Show is still great. Eddie at the time Eddie could still well on the guitar, but David could not hit the high notes anymore.
Well, a lot of people are talking about like Eddie Vedder, like his new stuff coming out. Some people don't really like because he sounds different. They think, but I love it. I love Eddie's new stuff. But there are a few people that are a little bit critical on it just because he's getting older. But I mean, what do you expect? This guy is phenomenal, and he sounds a little different. That's what's going to happen.
What's with all the armchair singers anyway? Like that really bothers me, especially when they're at a level that high, like Pearl Jam is. I mean, you can take Pearl Jam or leave him sometimes. A lot of people don't like the fact that Eddie Vedder, he doesn't necessarily enunciate well, but he sings really well. So like I was listening to some of it with some of my kids, and I was kind of like just humming and making a bunch of like inaudible sounds, but sounded exactly like it, and they were rolling in the back seat. Do you ever do that? Do you ever just hum?
Oh yeah, I make up lyrics, or I just make it up all the time. And somebody told me, it's your phonetics or whatever. Like if you forget of something, just sing it a word that sounds like it. And if you do it phonetically, I mean, people won't know that you're saying banana, and it's supposed to be, something similar to it. But yeah, I've been told a lot of musicians do that. They make up words. But Eddie, I think that it's his lyrics, and you really listen to them, most of them, or not listen but read them, because it is hard to listen to some of them. They do really hit home in a lot of places, like for people. And I relate to him. But yeah, I like the little memes and the funny little bits and pieces of like where we're trying to figure out, like, what are you saying? Are you going to McDonald's and you're going to go pick up your children at Rainbow Camp? Like, we have no idea what you're saying right now.
It's like the TikTok with Bone Thugs and Harmony,
Yeah.
that's like the best, where people are like lick a hippopotamus and all this.
Yeah.
You get enough of that stuff.
Those are my favorite. That's basically my karaoke.
That's an old singer's trick, when you forget the lyrics, the show must go on. You just come up with something that sounds palatable, and they never know, except for the one or two guys who will come hand you a note, right?
Yes, I was just gonna say the note, or if you've watched it enough, or like I've watched some like bands practice, and you can just tell by the way that they look at each other or the way that they're standing, like even if it's a smirk or a laugh, or somebody's kind of off, you wouldn't get it unless you were a musician or you understood that, or the guy at the small town bar where he knows, how to do the song right,
Right now.
slow.
Cain, what was the drummer? Who's the drummer for the Doors?
John Densmore, is that the no? That's
Yeah,
John Densmore.
his ability to adjust the time and tempo for Jim Morrison was unprecedented for exactly what you were just talking about.
Yep, we went and watched. I think is it Blue October? They were in Omaha, and was it Blue Moon Ghetto? No, it was Blue October, and the drummer was so drunk that he couldn't. I mean, he was just all over the place, and everybody else had to like figure out how to go with him, and like, and nobody else noticed in the like the fans or whatever, but I was with a couple musicians and they're like, "Oh my God, what is going on?"
You ever have to do that, Cain?
Oh, plenty of times. Trust me. Usually the guy that's too inebriated was me.
I was to say, you got to listen to one of Cain's songs called Gin and Tonic, and you'll understand that completely. And a side of gin. I'd like a gin with a side of gin, please.
I'm thinking about re-releasing that song. You know, I polished it up in the studio and everything. It's just kind of a fun song. So, you know, I don't really follow any standards of releasing. You know, I just kind of release what feels good to me. I don't care about money, fortune, fame, any of that crap. I just do it because I love it. So I might.
Are you working on any new stuff right now?
I am constantly working on new stuff. I wrote a couple new songs last week. I'm polishing a new song for hopefully radio. I've been on radio quite a bit with Concrete Heart on different places, but I'm trying to get on with a new song called Haunt You. But I haven't worked out some of the kinks yet, but hopefully I'll have that out very soon.
Is this a song about ghosts haunting a podcast?
No, it's really just it's really a creepy song. It's kind of like, you know, I'm the guy hiding under your bed. I'm the guy over there. I'm the guy watching you type thing. It's almost like a, you know, I hate to creep you out, Brooke. It's almost like a stalker-esque type thing. Maybe I'm singing to you. Who even knows?
Yeah, hey, I like it. I like that. What's the song where it's "I'll be watching you" or whatever? Every breath you take, you're like, what the hell?
Yeah, you know, I always feel like somebody's watching me or whatever. That's kind of the vein of what it is, but it's more of like a hard rock song. You know, I've been writing a lot of hard rock.
Looking back, that was a creepy video, by the way.
Oh, it's super creepy.
Well, I'll be watching. I'll be looking in your window, then get you back, stalk you. Hi, Cain. What's up? Hey.
Awkward thing is, it'll be me and my wife holding hands. It'll be like The Shining as we come down your hall.
Like the twins. Red rum, red rum. I'm like, sweet. This is the coolest thing ever.
You know, we're getting close to the end of the show here. You know, let's try to wrap it up with something in closing and say our goodbyes. What do you guys got? I mean, do you guys have any other things to close? I want to close with a quick lyric that I had picked up that I think will kind of end it nicely.
Well, for me, I'm looking forward to Billy Idol coming into town. I've done a couple meet and greets with Billy Idol a few times. Still love going to see his shows. Guy is super fit. Still goes out, rocks it. Great sense of humor. Got to be here at the Lincoln Pinewood Bowl coming up here in a couple of weeks. Come and check it out.
That's a big show, and Pinewood Bowl is really they've done it time and time again for the past 5 or 6 years, where they brought in massive talent. I missed the Black Keys last year, which I'm beating myself up over because it's one of my favorite bands. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Billy Idol. I hope I can get some free tickets if anyone wants to throw those at me. That'd be great.
How about you, Brooke? What do you got going? Anything this week?
I know there's some local bands playing. Dad Rock and Ghetto Blasters. They're going to be playing a couple times this next coming up few weeks. So I'll probably go see them if I'm in town. But yeah, nothing too crazy.
All right. Well, you know, that kind of is a quick local wrap up. What, you know, as we progress with the shows, we'll start to talk more and more about local things going on and kind of keep you guys informed. And we're going to give you guys the best music show and really one of the best podcasts around that you're ever going to see, especially in this area. We're taking over the area. We're taking over the world, one show at a time, everybody.
Hugs and love.
So in closing, I just wanted to, I did have a lyric that I wanted to share. This one was from, since it was David Gilmour's birthday this week, David Gilmour from Pink Floyd. We kind of touched on Syd Barrett a little bit. I wanted to read this. It's from Dark Side of the Moon. It's from Breathe. And the lyric is breathe, breathe in the air. Don't be afraid to care. Leave, don't leave me. Look around. Choose your own ground. And I think that's a nice segue out of here. I think it kind of shows you like, you know, life, what it's like when you start it and birth. And then you really want to leave your mark when you leave this place. And that's what we want to do with this show.
Yep. Find your own ground.
Find your own ground. Well, I'm Cain Stevens. This is Randy, Mr. Chill himself, with us, and we have DJ BJ, Big Red herself. And thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you again soon.
Scratch the vinyl.